Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below.
According to this report here from We Got It Covered, the Obi-Wan and Boba Fett spinoffs are apparently canceled. Now, it's been a big week for Star Wars. Obviously, you've got the reports that Kathleen Kennedy has actually kept her job for 3 years. Grace Randolph reports that it has more to do with the fact that nobody wanted to take the position. To be fair, I completely wholeheartedly agree with her on that one. I don't think anybody wanted the job. I think people looked at it like, Apparently they went to J.J. Abrams, according to Grace. He turned it down, which makes sense because he's a filmmaker. He's not going to want to be stuck behind a desk. You need somebody what you need somebody at Lucasfilm to run the company, which can be Kennedy, and you need somebody to run Star Wars, that could be J.J. Abrams. But then again, I don't think he's going to want to dive in, to dealing with another big franchise like that, given what happened with him and, Paramount and CBS over Star Trek. But that being said, this is an entirely different beast altogether. So it says here that Disney and Lucasfilm's plan on releasing one Star Wars movie a year indefinitely always seemed like a bad idea. Actually, I disagree. That was actually an awesome idea. They could up it to 2 or 3 films a year, provided the arc and the characters progressed the story forward. They could treat Star Wars like the MCU, and had they done it properly, had they had a Kevin Feige or Dave Filoni at the helm of this and not Kathleen Kennedy, I feel they could have absolutely positively hit that mark, hit that goal, hit that stride, because it would have taken us fans on an epic sprawling adventure through the entirety of Star Wars, through the galaxy, through everything, told us cool new stories. And I think they're still going to do that, but they just need to recalibrate. So no, we got this covered. Trying to sit there and argue that one Star Wars movie a year indefinitely was a bad idea is false as hell. That's evidenced by the fact that they've done 4 movies and $4.5 billion. It would have been a lot more money had Solo not been, caught up by the fan backlash to The Last Jedi and also been released at a really bad weekend. If they would have pushed Solo to Christmas, coming out this Christmas, Solo would have done a lot better. But that was Bob Iger's call, and he has since taken the blame for that. But no, this is so stupid. Oh, does she make a bad idea? No, it doesn't. No, it didn't. You think it's a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Now, it goes on to say, after all, a new movie in the franchise kind of feels like it should be a cinematic event or a conveyor belt, or any conveyor belt of releases dilutes that quite a bit. Again, not true. Look at Marvel. Marvel's handled it quite well. It's not Harry Potter movies could do the same exact thing. If you're telling a story, if you're pushing a narrative, when you branch off and it becomes odd and it doesn't fit into the grander scheme of things, that can be an issue. Like Rogue One and Solo were ultimately unnecessary, but I feel that they were both the 2 best films in the franchise reboot thus far. I've already watched Solo like 3 times since it came out on home video, and I really like the movie, and I really love Rogue One. Still can't stand Last Jedi. That's not going to change. Anyway, but it says the plan consisting of alternating saga releases with standalone spin-off movies. So The Force Awakens was followed by Rogue One, and then Last Jedi was followed by Solo. Presumably, Episode 1 would have been followed by either Obi-Wan or Boba Fett. But since Solo landed a damp squib at the box office, a rare failure for both the franchise and Disney, they've had to rethink the long-term strategy. What this might consist of was hinted at in Variety's recent story of Kathleen Kennedy's contract extension, where it was claimed that the Lucasfilm development slate had been flushed, with particular mention of the canceled Boba Fett project. The article also says here that her attention will now be directed to a new core trilogy, beginning with Star Wars Episode 9. So are they using Episode 9 as a launch pad for another trilogy? Is that going to end up kind of doing away? Is it going to, I guess, is it going to end the Skywalker trilogy and set up something entirely different? I mean, I guess it's going to have to, essentially. Carrie Fisher's dead. They stupidly killed off Luke Skywalker, which, all things considered, they had a whole year to sit there and weigh that decision. Do we, don't we, do we, don't we, do we, don't we? No, you don't. If you want to make him force project halfway across the galaxy and doppelganger the fuck out of Kylo Ren, pissing him off, and then he's still kicking it back on Octu, waiting for a pickup from somebody to go back and fight the good fight, then that would have been fine. That would have saved a fair amount of the movie right there. Also, let's get rid of Canto Bight. Let's get rid of Canto Bight from all existence. Let's just eradicate that shit constantly. But I will always criticize that. And if I ever met Rian Johnson, I would just go, Canto Bight sucks. I would wear that shirt. If I actually get the chance to go to Star Wars Celebration, I will get that on a t-shirt, that Canto Bight sucks. Anyway, it does go on to say here that given episode 9 is the end of a trilogy, it seems unlikely that it's going to be the first installment of a new one. I'd imagine if Disney had decided that their sequel trilogy was now going to be a pentalogy rather than a trilogy, we would have heard about that. But it seems more likely to me that this news has been garbled a bit by and they're actually talking about Rian Johnson's new trilogy, which is currently in development, despite the fans' scuttlebutt that it's been canceled. And again, you could tell they are completely defensive. This article feels like it was influenced, if not written, by Scott Mendelson. Now, that is probably accurate to the article in question. However, a pentalogy would make sense. It would very much make sense. I've talked about this before. If they were to sit there and act like they look at The Last Jedi and they go, this was not a good movie. The fans revolted against it. It hurt Solo, because here's the thing with all the people out there that claim that The Last Jedi was amazing and all the people out there that do talk about it and they love it and all that stuff. Where were they for Solo? Right? I understand that The Last Jedi is the #1 selling Blu-ray so far this year. I get that. It will be eclipsed by Black Panther before the end of the year. I get that too. But where were all the people for Solo? Where were all the people that claim all these things? I did not like The Last Jedi. I still went to a preview screening of Solo, and I still really liked it, and I recommended it to people. So I mean, like, I went. I'm a fan. I still didn't care for The Last Jedi, but a lot of people didn't go, and it kind of blows the argument out of the water that it's just whiny fanboys. That's the issue here. Now, I think they should do it. Like, I think they should make it a pentalogy or make it a quadrilogy, right? Or something like that. They should do episode 9 and episode 10 as being the finales. Basically undoing the events of episode 8 and going back and retconning a lot of stuff to give the fans what they want. That would be the better play. They're not going to do it because I think they just want to wrap it up. But I think JJ is going to give fans as much closure as he possibly can, seeing that he actually gets to conclude a trilogy rather than starting it like Star Trek and then walking away. Now, it goes on to say here, if Obi-Wan and Boba Fett have really been axed, though, then I won't shed too many tears. After all, Boba Fett has always been overrated as a character. I mean, he's got one thing going for him, and that's being mysterious, and the movie would necessarily spoil that. Kenobi's a bit more of a loss. However, particularly if they had Ewan McGregor reprising the role, he was great even with the terrible prequel scripts. So I'm sure he'd knock it out of the park and make it an actually good movie. And I agree with that. I think, as I've said before, I feel ultimately that Boba Fett should be Solo 2. If I were Kathleen Kennedy and I was running the show, I would. That's how I would say it. I'm like, look, we signed Alden Ehren to write the 3 films. Let's make Boba Fett Solo 2. Let's combine them together. And I've talked about this before, and the people who have heard me talk about this before on the channel, they like it. They've agreed with me on that one. And then go from there. Have it be about Jabba, dealing with the heist with Jabba. And then tie into the 3rd Solo film, which then is going to conclude that trilogy, leading probably with the end or ending with them walking into Mos Eisley Cantina at the beginning of Star Wars A New Hope, and then it continuing the journey. So it will take time to get there, but I still think they should do it. I do hope that they do it. But when it comes to Obi-Wan, no, man, you make that a Western. You give that to James Mangold. You have him do an Obi-Wan movie. Everyone wants that right now. No one's like, we don't want a Rian Johnson trilogy. We want an Obi-Wan movie. We want a Boba Fett movie. If we're going to do anything with legacy characters, let's make it work. Let's make it good. No one wants a Rian Johnson trilogy. And I agree with Grace Randolph when she says that Kathleen Kennedy will probably come to rue the day that she hired Rian Johnson and then backed him up, because he has done more to divide the fan base than quite literally she has. But she has been silent, and silence in many cases does equal complicit. So there is that. And I don't really feel like Lucasfilm is going the right path, and I feel a lot of that has to do with Kathleen Kennedy, and obviously we've talked about that before. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, don't cancel Boba Fett. Tie it into Solo. Give us Obi-Wan, and make Star Wars great again. Hey, thanks for checking out this clip from $3 Theater. If you want to get the full audio version of the episode, you can find it anywhere podcasts are found. If you want to watch the video version of it, head on over to patreon.com/mundanematt and take a look at our $3 Theater perk, which gets you access to the full show that airs Monday through Friday. It's a video version of it. You get to look at this face, talk about movies and everything else on screen. It's great stuff. It helps out, and I really appreciate the support. Remember to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.